Hi, let us continue with the remaining of chapter 9. So we have previously discussed on the balanced scorecard. This is also another approach or another strategy or another technique that organization will use in the strategic evaluation process, in which in this approach it balances between the long-term and short-term concerns, and it also balances between the financial with non-financial concerns. For example, if you look at this particular example, we have financial and non-financial, and then we have in terms of the long-term as well as the short-term, the ROI, the operating margins, and then the level of returns on service rating, new product lead time, unit cost, and then being categorized into different perspective, like financial, customer, internal processes, as well as organizational capacity. And this is also another example that I took from the internet, that we can use as an example in order to better understand the element of balanced scorecard. Yes. And another important aspect of this particular chapter is on the characteristics of an effective evaluation system. So there are several characteristics or criteria. Number one, it must be economical. Economical in the sense that in terms of the information must be sufficient enough in order for you to make decision, and then it must not be too costly in order for you to implement that particular approach or technique in order to evaluate that particular strategy. When it comes to information, too much information can be as bad as too little information. Sometimes when we have too much information, we could experience information overload, and we are still not able to make a wise and better decision based on that too much information that you need to review. And sometimes when you have that too little information also, it does not help in order for you to make a better decision. And then too many controls also can do more harm than good. When the manager exercise too much control over their employees, so this can create unnecessary stress or the feeling of uncomfortable among the employees, which might affect in terms of our performance. And activities, number two, activities should be meaningful. It must relate to the firm's objective as well as our goals. And then it should be able to provide timely information when you need the information. The process, the criteria that you choose must be able to provide you with the information that you need. And then the activities should be designed to provide a true picture of what is happening. So meaning to say that the evaluation element must be reflective to the current situation. For example, like now, UITM is revising in terms of the element of performance appraisal for this year, because we cannot use whatever criteria that we used to evaluate our lecturers based on last year, because things are different. The activities that we are doing now are totally different. There is no more students activities, there is no more student trips and whatnot. So we cannot use that criteria in order to evaluate the performance of the lecturers. And then activities should not dominate decision. So should foster mutual understanding, trust, and common sense. And then we talk about contingency planning. Everybody knows what is a contingency planning. It is a backup plan. Why do we need to have a backup plan like what we are having at the moment? Like ODL, this is our backup plan if something bad happen, like a disaster like this. So we still need to continue our PNP. So how are we going to do that? The answer is ODL. Having an open distance learning is measures or solution or contingency plan that most of the universities are adopting in order to deal with the COVID-19 situation. So you can read this on your own. in terms of the contingency planning. And the final element in this particular chapter is an auditing, a systematic process of objective or obtaining and evaluating evidence regarding assertions about economic actions and events to ascertain the degree of correspondence between these assertions uh, and established criteria and communicating the results to interested users. So audit is quite similar with evaluation and control, in which you just want to identify whether or not your practice conform with the predetermined standards, and then to look at the evidence of your achievements, and then we want to ensure whether these are some of the challenges lah, and in strategic management in the 21st century challenges, whether the process should be more of an art or a science, that is an issue, and then deciding whether strategies should be visible or hidden. For example, like a Starbucks, you can see that the strategy that they are pursuing is quite visible. They put all of their stores at the end, at the corner of the shop lots, an independent store, and so that everybody can see that they are different than Coffee Bean and also San Francisco Coffee, for example. And then whether or not the process should be top down or bottom up. In this, my opinion is that it should be both. You should allow your employees to speak up, to share opinions, and at the same time, as the top managers, they also need to initiate changes that could be or should be implemented throughout the organization based on what is happening out there. So I reckon that would end our chapter on strategy evaluation. All right, so all the best.